Okay, we're going to make this assembly of this arbor right here. There is going to be a grinding wheel right in here and a nut, but we're solely going to worry about this part right here, which we'll just call the screw. Okay, so when we see some of these things, we see that there is a 0.88 diameter here that has a 0.5 hole, or it's a 5. It says 5. It's going to be a 0.5 hole because it can't possibly be 5, and the depth is going to be 1.25. This whole piece is 1.5 deep, and there's holes on top of this right here. So in 0.3, in 0.5 is where that hole is, and we'll drill and tap for a 1228 thread that goes in there for a set screw. That's a fine thread, by the way. So the entire length of this part is 4 inches. There's a half 20 thread that goes on here that's only 2 inches along this end, and that's really going to be the tricky part. The rest of this stuff you probably can figure out. So, and that's really not that tricky. It's really easy. So let's go ahead and click this. We're going to start a new drawing, and it is an English drawing from there. So we'll click 2D sketch and start right here, and we'll start by making that circle that is 0.88. Notice I didn't put it right on there because I want to make it coincident constraint and put it right on that. So it's fully constrained. I can finish the sketch and look at that. And so that 0.88 goes back 1.5. So we'll extrude it 1.5. And I'm just going to go the other direction to keep my origin point there. So we'll go 1.5 and enter. Okay. Then we also had a circle right here. Right click right here and click a new sketch. And I'm going to put a circle on right here. That was 0.5, and I'm going to make it a concentric constraint between those so they have the same center point, and we'll go ahead and extrude this so it cuts out, I think it was 1.25, 0.25, oops. So let me double check here real quick. I'm going to make sure it goes 1.25 deep, yep. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and cut that out. So we've got that part figured out. The next thing we're going to do is the entire length of this part is 4 inches. We just made that 1.5. So we'll go extrude this, or we're going to draw a circle right here on this. Create a new sketch. Draw a circle here. And we'll make that 0.5 because that's what the thread is. We finished that sketch and we're going to extrude that then 1.5, or it'll be 4 minus 1.5, and that gets us the length we want it to be. Alright, so then we've got that part of it there. There's a chamfer here. Looks like there's a chamfer on both ends. Oh yeah, so there's a chamfer here. There's also a chamfer right there. We'll get, and then these 2 holes that are tapped holes that go in there. So let's try something. We're going to try to put points right there on that surface. Actually, we're not. What we're going to do is this, we'll go over here, and because we went through the origin point, we're going to find the plane that goes through that center. So that's the plane we're on. We're going to right click right there and click new sketch. Alright, if you hit F7 on your keyboard, it'll cut your part in half, and we're going to go ahead and put a point here, and we're going to put a point here. We're going to say that they are horizontally constrained, although I think I put them in place. Oops, we want them to be vertically constrained instead. So I want that yellow line to go through the middle there. Vertically constrain those together, so now they are vertically constrained, and the dimension from there to there was 0.31. And notice it turned blue, and the dimension from here to here was 0.5. Alright, so now that's fully constrained also. So I'm going to finish that sketch. So what I'll do next is I'm going to use the hole command. I'm going to use a hole, and I want these to go in the other direction. I want them to go up. And I'm going to change this to be a threaded hole right there. So that's what you use, a threaded hole when we want to make threads. So we'll click that. Oh. Really interesting. There we go. Just took a second for it to think its way through it. So a threaded hole, and I wanted that to be a number 12. So let's go here. Well, let's see. We don't want to do that. We don't want it to be... We want a number 12 thread. That's the one we want right there. See, it says number 12. So that's a 12 thread goes through. A 1224 is the one I think it said. Where was it? Right there. 1228. Let's see if we can find that one. 1228. 1228 is it's a fine thread, so we'll put those in there like that, and that should be good. And you'll see it puts threaded holes inside of that. So that's how you do threaded holes. We'll go ahead and put the chamfers. We're going to worry about that chamfer now, and it's a 45-degree chamfer, so that means it's the same on both sides. That's 0.03. So we'll make the distance here, our distance as 0.03, and we could do this and say that's a 45, and that's the angle, and then we'll click this face and say we want that loop and that loop right there done. We could also say, oh, let's go ahead and check that, and we'll pick this side over here because we want to get this face right there with a chamfer on it. That's what we want, and so that looks good. Alright, so now our part's starting to look the way we want it to look. So this whole end down here is done. All we've got left is that half-inch thread there that's 2 inches long. So if we just click thread, we'll click this part right here. Now see, it puts that on there, and it automatically, specification, picks the half-inch thread that goes on there. So let's see, it was a half 20. So that's also a fine thread. So we'll go back here. We're going to change this to a half 20. We'll pick that one right there, and you'll see it change the thread over here. So the thread's a lot finer. And we'll go back to the location of this. We're going to see here, we don't want it to go the full length. We only want it to go 2 inches. So that's 1 inch there. There's 2 inches there. So that leaves that little bit right there. Just for your information, this, whoops, what happened there? Nope. Let's get out of this. Just for your information, this part right back here that doesn't have a thread is called a relief. Alright, so now that we've got that, we're going to go ahead and save as. We'll call it 484-13-30, and this we'll go -1, and we'll call it the screw. We'll call that the screw. So that's the screw, and we'll go ahead and make the drawing for it. Alright, base view. Way too big. Did I click the right thing, the right drawing, make the right drawing? Start a new drawing, and that's what I wanted. So I'm going to click base. We'll change this to go sideways this way. That's much better. I'm going to put this one in here because there's two things. I'm going to make that my front view. I won't need a top view because it'll be identical. So I'll just go over here and do your right side view here, and I'll do a left side view there, and I'll go ahead and put an isometric up here. Right click and enter. So this is actually probably the best way to do this. Note that it gives you these double lines right there. That's the minor diameter of your thread, and this is the major diameter of your thread. Same thing goes for right there. So first thing we'll do is we'll annotate this, and we're going to put in center points first. So we'll put in center points there. We're going to put in a center point here, and we're going to do centerline bisectors, and we'll do those right between here and here. And we'll come over here and do them between this one and this one, and then this one and this one. We'll also do them between this one and this one, and it's going to make that short, so we'll fix that in a second. The other thing we actually want to do is do one between here and here, so that means that the whole thing is straight all along. That being said, what we can do is click on this one and delete it, and we'll just grab that grip right there and drag that straight out so it goes beyond that part just a little bit. So that's the centerline bisectors we need, and we'll put one more right over here. I wonder if I can do that. Grab this one and just go straight up. That's exactly what we want. And it does the same thing. Perfect. So now we can start dimensioning. So we'll put a dimension on, and we're going to start with the dimension that tells us how long. Wait, this part is right here. Oh, well, guess what? I just realized I do have to change something. We're going to try this. We're going to go to place of view. We're going to project this one back up here anyway because we've got to dimension those holes. So we want to put a dimension in for those. And so now we should be able to go from, oops, I'm getting closer so I don't mess it up. Go from here to there. And then we'll go from this one to that one. Alright, now we've got that located. I'm going to go ahead and do a centerline bisector here to here. And just to make this look nice, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm not going to go any farther than that because I want it to look good. I want it to be very readable. Alright, so that being said, that's 1.5, and this one, that tells us the distance is there. So you've got those two covered and that one covered. We'll come back over here and go to the end over here on this part, and we want to dimension this hole here. So we'll put a dimension in for that hole. That tells us 1.5. So what we have to do here is if you look at this, so this is 0.5, and that's a depth symbol there. It goes 1.25 deep. So we're going to change that 1.25. Click something wrong. We'll put a by symbol there, and then say use it. Oh wait, we won't do that. What we'll do is we'll use the depth symbol, which should be. It'll take me a second to figure this one out. That's not what we want. I thought it would show that. Oh, there it is right there. The depth symbol is 1.25, so that tells us how deep that hole is right there. We also want to put a diameter on this right here to tell us that. Alright, then we'll go back over here and we're going to do a leader on this part. And we'll click right here on this little line. And we'll click continue. So it takes that straight out there, and we'll make that the same as this reference right here. We're going to say 0.03 by 45 chamfer, and we'll go 0.03 by 45 degrees. Where's the degree symbol? I forgot where symbols were. Oh, right there. Degrees. Chamfer. Oops, let's turn the cap lock on. Chamfer, and we'll do that in 3 places. And this tells them that chamfer right there goes here, here, and also right here. Alright? And if they know what they're doing, then they found that, and they went from that part right there. So we've got this one covered, this, and this. So we're going to drill and tap for a 1028 screw. So let's go back up here. We'll go up to this part, and we're going to make a leader actually right here. Let's try this. Let's do a dimension, and we're just going to put a dimension on here and go like this, and we're going to overwrite that. And we're going to say that it is a 1028 UNF, so that's a unif. Oh, we want to hide that value. That's what we want to do. It's a 1228 UNF. That's a fine thread. And we'll say through, and go down here and say 2 places. Oops. So that's how you're going to squeeze that one in there. Alright, so we've got that part figured out. So now the only thing left is this right here to tell us what that is. So we'll go back to this. And sometimes the best way to do this is to put a dimension on from here to here to tell us that's 2 inches there. And we can put a dimension on that. Let's say we'll put a leader. The leader goes from, we can put it right here. That says right click and continue. And we want that basically to say the same thing here. We can say it's a 1/2 by 20 UNF. Um, 0.50 by, oops, no, not by, -20. So that 20 means there's 20 threads per inch on that UNF. UNF 3A. So 3A is the designation for the tolerance zone on that. By too long. Oh, we don't need to do that. We could do that. By 2.00 long. Alright. So that's what that looks like. So now that we've got this part figured out, we'll go up here and we're going to go to environments. Oops. Oh, it's manage. Styles editor. We're going to change the text size. So that note there is we're going to change it to 0.24. Save and close. So that's all a lot bigger there so we can see it now. The next thing we'll do is go to File, go to iProperties. We're going to change this to be the